Fall's here. The leaves are starting to change colors. It's 54 in my garage today, but it was like 30, 34 last night, almost freezing. And that's Lake Huron, about 200 yards over. Finally got my two bearings in. I actually got it in last week, guys, but I just didn't have time to do a video. Trying to get the Venture all back together, and had a misfire in there. Got the other case sandblasted, just finished that. I'm going to wash them. I'm going to try to run them through the dishwasher if Heather's not looking. But I'll wash them in hot soapy water first, and I'll blow them all out, clean them all up as best I can. I'm thinking if I run them through the dishwasher first and bake them, they'll get nice and hot and I can spray them. And then I'll put the bearings in and assemble the crank. But I've got to flush the crank out really good. I'm going to flush it through the journals, through the ends, and clean it up really good. I'm not going to take these off. Every time you take off a nut off a con rod, connecting rod, you're supposed to add 3% more torque to the nuts each time for the compression. And they just feel so snug and tight and smooth. And to me, I think this engine's been apart. Like you can see, the oil pump's been apart or rebuilt. It's in real good shape. The cylinders, the piston rings were seized in the pistons, but they weren't seized in the bore. And the bore, when we get to that, you'll see the cross hatching is still in there. It looks like it's been freshly done. It came with a brand new set of second over piston rings, so I'm going to go with that. And so I really want to flush out these journals first, wash the crank, and I'll be ready for assembly. Sandblasted both cases, washed them in boiling hot water and soap, and they pretty much baked dry on their own. And then I sprayed them with some of this VHT caliper paint. It's what do they call it? It's kind of like a metallic silver drum and rotor paint. It's a little bit, it's not real glossy, it's kind of a flat paint, but that'll work for now. Now I might ding it up a little bit, a couple scratches on it when I put it together and take it apart a couple times, but I'll just touch it up with that. And that's where we're at right now. Right now I'm going to clean the crank out really good, flush it out, and then prime it with some oil in the journals, and then assemble this. Okay, I'm going to take apart the connecting rods. I just hate taking apart anything if it's not broken. You know, don't screw with it, because I know these are nice and snug and tight. I'll use some plastic gauge and check it, but I know they're snug. But let's take it apart, have a look. The whole bike's apart except for these two rods. These are the last two things, never been apart. So let's have a quick look. I noticed there's already a, I don't know if you can see in the picture there, there's a slash across the rod and the bottom cap. I think somebody's put that there as a marker indicator when they took it apart for realignment. So we're going to check that. Also, on the rod, there's a little oil hole right here. The oil hole faces out away from the balancer weight, the center portion. So that's correct on that side. While I got the rod apart, at least I can put in some assembly lube, and that way it can sit for a while, a few months before I get it fired up. I already got these loosened off. The torque on these is 25 foot-pounds when I put it back together. So we'll see what kind of condition these are in. So they're fine thread, and every time you retighten connecting rod bolts and nuts, you know, you should really replace them. And it's just one more thing for failure. And I know a lot of people suggest every time you take these apart, you should put new bushings in. And there is some wear on this one. Just show you on the inside in there. The Babbitt bearing. There is wear in there. And you can buy these in standard, 10 thou, 20 thou, 30 thou over if you get your crank turned down. Let's have a look at the crank here too. I know that goes that way. Some of the cleaning oil coming out. I can see that or not, but there's not so much wear there, but there's no grooves or anything in it, but there's discoloring for sure. Like I might try to. It looks like just from sitting for so long. Like I said, when I bought this bike, there was no speedometer on it, so I don't know how many miles are on this engine. No idea. Yeah, this looks just more like oxidation a little bit. And I think I'm going to just try to buff that off with some very fine emery cloth or 2000 grit paper, maybe a little bit. There's nothing sticking up though. There's not, mostly discoloration. Looks all right. I'll plastic gauge the rod, see what kind of clearance we have here. And it would be nice to put another set in, but more time, more money. These bearing shells are marked. Try to get this to focus. Focus. There. 23255. And on this side is focus 4444. I believe that's 44.44. Which is 1.79 inches, which is the 1.7904, I believe it is, which is the diameter of the journal. So I believe these are stock shells, and normally they would put a stamping right in here if they went 10 thou or 20 thou over 30 thou. This is where you're supposed to put the stamping, right adjacent to the journal on either side. And there's no markings anywhere there. You can see a little bit of the, where are we? Discoloring in here, but there's no scoring at all. Like it's in good shape. So I'm just going to clean it up a little bit. Can't find my plastic gauge. I'm looking everywhere for it. A little green and white strip. I've got it here somewhere. I may have to go buy some more tomorrow and finish this. But meanwhile, I think I can try to put the cases together and then do the end play and make sure I'm on the money there. Okay, I got the drive side rod off and checked. It'd probably work. Just took off the timing side connecting rod. Checked the bearing shells on this one. Not good, not good. I gotta spend more money. This bike's eating me alive. This bearing shell, I think it even spun. And you can see it doesn't even fit in the cup right. Luckily I did take it apart. And where are we? You can see here there's a chunk or chip missing right out of the bearing shell. I don't know what happened there, but here's the bearing itself, and you can see a little bit of wear in here. Something's happened here. overheated, stuck. I don't know, but that's flaked off. I'm gonna have to order new bearing shells. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna have to order new bearing shells. I'm gonna clean up these journals and I'm gonna put stock bearing shells back in. That's what I'm gonna do. And I'm gonna debate whether to take apart the crank now. Split the crank. I flushed it out really good. I didn't get any crud out of it or sludge or anything, but there's a sludge trap in there that could have sludge in it, so I got a feeling I'm going to split this crank too. Might be another video before I start putting these cases together, but next thing, bearing shells. Damn! More beer.